things to start, or could be some of those employees, correct? Could we, I wonder if we could, no, maybe not.
But I don't know yet, I don't know. if
Because
we have
their
any-
year would be ended, then we'd be starting another year, so.
Correct.
Well, no, the first thrust of information has just been released. We'll be involved with a conference call on this Thursday, and these are the kind of questions we'll be asking. But I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to be able to list the estimate costs for employees for a 2-year period. That's likely what we'll be doing to some extent. But we'll be careful, we'll listen carefully, and follow the guidelines as they're written. We do know on a quarterly basis, we have to actually provide them employee names, job responsibilities of every single employee on a monthly basis, on a year-round basis. They're reacting to the criticism of the auto industry bailout, where a lot of people suggested that the money was not being spent appropriately. So they're clamping down here and asking for an awful lot of accounting detail to try to avoid some of those criticisms.
But you know, the auto industry, they have staffs with employees
right.
they can hire to do this. And we've got small town government
Right.
and you.
Right, well, I think it's important as we go through this and administer, we document fully the burden that's associated with this. That's critical.
So Carl, will we need any action at October town meeting to establish an account to roll this over? Or?
I'll double check that with Joe Tassoni. We have established the account already, and I think if town meeting appropriation action was necessary, he would have said so. I don't believe so. Grants, we get grants frequently and don't need town meeting appropriation for them. We need them for revolving funds, enterprise funds generally, but not for grants.
Okay.
So David, have you already committed that 75,000 to the textbooks?
Yeah, the answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that leaves us with a little more than 380,000 for next year. I think we've all seen, or most of us have seen, I think emails that came from, I think Representative Jones's office saying the speculation is, or the overwhelming feeling is there won't be any more money next year. And if you look at the total, that this equals 167 million. I believe they spent more in the fourth quarter to bail us out on the cut in the local aid, Chapter 70. So I just don't see any money next year. So if you look at this, we're already behind the 8 ball next year by $112,000 because we have $112,000 less than we're spending this year.
Right.
So we're already starting at a $112,000 deficit. Maybe some money will be found. I tend to doubt it. The whole thing's been a fiasco. They're saying that it could be as late as the last day in December before they even pay us the money. So that means we run a school district for 6 months, counting on money that we don't have yet.
However,
Yeah.
excellent point. Having said that, it's our intention to begin spending it.
Correct, that's correct.
I'm gonna wait for that.
No, we don't.
The kids are coming.
I don't know if the town has the cash flow without borrowing, so the understanding that the town accountant has given me is for us to begin expending money out of all of these stimulus grants, going in the hole until it catches up. So that's with the provision being, we'll be careful not to spend in areas we're not supposed to, and we're still trying to seek information about whether we're able to spend in the first quarter. That's still unclear at this point.
Well, it did say something in here, is if you need to spend the money sooner, or you can issue federal aid anticipation notes. So can we pay our vendors with federal aid anticipation notes? Because I want to start using those if we can. I mean, it's just like, that's an IOU, is what that is.
Anticipation notes.
Isn't that great?
It's an FAA.
Yeah, it's an
Can't even
FAAN.
back the doll. Oh, well. Well, thank you for that update. Next, we have another item on the agenda called the FY09 Budget Management.
You know what, that's, and I apologize for that, that was a carryover from
Oh, all right.
another, it should not even be there.
Okay,
It's,
yeah, it's not on the
No,
console.
please, you know,
What are these numbers?
Leanne emailed me and said, what is this, you know, and budget freeze, no, please,
No budget freeze yet.
It's not on the agenda and
Not
it
yet.
should not be in
Next
there
week,
now.
first let's get
Right.
to the opening of school,
And
this
then
will
we'll
be the
freeze the
happy
budget,
time.
right, we'll open
Happy
school,
days.
right.
Opening school is $75,000 for textbooks, great.
FY '09 budget freeze, we're gonna look at retrospective.
I know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, how it worked.
Well, we're all set to go, I believe, at this point. Just a walk around the buildings, you can see that the maintenance staff, custodial staff has done a yeoman's job, just a terrific job of working this summer around some very busy schools. And when you think that the little school had a major asbestos project that is completed in the B wing, all those rooms, the ceiling tiles, everything was taken out, put back together again, new tiles, the rooms were painted, and then everything was put back. So we did not, we had a major project at the little school. The town's recreation program, the summer camp, was here at the middle school, and by all reports from Lynn Clemens, who's the town's recreation director, they just loved it here. And they want to come back, so we're hoping that.
Can we up the price? They
Uh,
don't need that much.
So, they had a wonderful summer here. We also had at the Batchelder School, and additionally here at the middle school, and at the Hood School, our own summer programs, both in special education, in MCAS support, and also our pilot fledgling summer enrichment program for students. So that was at those three schools, and of course the Hood School, for a number of years, we have turned that school over to an outside special education summer camp, Camp Triumph. And so our schools are very busy, but the custodial staff, not only in servicing and working with all of those children and programs, has done a great job in preparing our school facilities, and we're ready to go. We are still enrolling students. We, for the first time in many years, we only had one hotspot, as I would call it, in terms of enrollment, and that is in the kindergarten at the Hood School. We were up to 28 children in the half-day session, and after a number of conversations with Mr. McKay at the end of last week, we had six or seven registrations in that kindergarten for half-day within the last 2 weeks, just with some people moving in and some late registrations. So I made a decision without consulting the school committee. We can't have 28 children in kindergarten, and we don't have the funds to hire another teacher. And the best strategy is, a strategy to hire even a paraprofessional to support 28 children and a teacher is really not the way to go. So I asked Mr. McKay to look geographically at any, do we have numbers of children who reside right on the border? And so we had 4 kindergarten children who technically should be in the Hood School District on Lowell Road, that I've moved to the little school.
Good.
And the enrollment in the little school, and there are 2 half-day sessions there of, I think it was 16 and 16. So, I mean, it's too large to have one class, and so what we've done is we have moved those children into, I think it's the morning session there. We'll require some manipulation of the buses
Yeah.
to accomplish that, because we'll be sending a little school bus just for those children on that area. The rest of children will be attending the Hood School. So Mr. McKay has, I believe, spoken with families, and, it really is, education is the best.
Yes, 28 kindergartens.
But we still have 24, doesn't that far exceed our?
Well,
it's
we
supposed to be
actually had
18
another
to
one
20.
another family decided to enroll their child in the full-day
The full-day
program. So
program.
it's pulled back down.
I agree, but 23, that's
It's
a
high.
lot better than 28, but that's still high
It's still
for
high.
kindergarten.
That class has to be capped at 20.
Yeah, I just think we can, if anybody else comes to register, I think they get an option, they can go to the little school, or, I mean, at this point, I don't think we want any more than
No,
23 in
no.
there.
And certainly any paraprofessionals that are available to assist.
Right. So then, I think, other than that,
Does that affect the bus fee for those kids at all?
I think.
Potentially it could, right?
Well, I think it would,
It won't be a bus fee,
Kindergarten's
will there?
no, it isn't, but I think it's only, that's not the policy, we do charge.
Right,
kindergarten,
it's
yeah,
how
but I
far
would think
they're
it's
away.
only appropriate that.
It's a
Oh,
waiver
that's
in this
also
field,
good.
right?
Yes.
It was- Yeah,
Yes.
because I would think to the hood, they might be more than 2 miles, but to the little they may not,
Right.
so you'd probably want to waive it.
right, and, you know, this is, with this coming so late in the, literally days before school opened, that, and had we known that that number was at this range, and they track it when children are registering. Actually, we did have some families who have been residing in North Reading, but despite calls and, you know, frequent calls, they did not register their children. Some families will wait, and they intend to register their children in private kindergarten. And circumstances change, people's jobs change, they may not be able to attend private kindergarten, or they may not need daycare provision, so they will work to enroll, way to the last minute.
Even had we known at budget time, the best answer was to merge. Spot redistricting
Right.
has to take place, and we can't have a class of 16, that's no good
Right.
educationally either. So I'm really grateful these parents were okay and went with the program, because we will be seeing more of that.
3 quick questions for David, or one for Carl. David, in terms of staffing, we're 100% staffed.
Yes, we are.
And one issue at the high school, you talked about traffic earlier. Will there be any traffic issues with the field project? And I know when they bring in the big rolls of the turf, they're gonna have to, will there be any issues with that, you know?
I think we just need to communicate through our committee with them. I'll raise that as an important issue. We should have advance notice of any kind of blockage of the roadway. I think when they're bringing in, as you say, the turf, I suspect they're gonna be brought in on large trucks that are
Right.
probably gonna have accompaniment with them and police involvement. So
Right.
I'll make a note to make sure that the communication is good and it doesn't impact our operation.
And I have one question for you, Carl, on the bus fees. Did we
Yes.
we set up that program for fines after, was it August 15th, July 15th?
August 15th, yeah.
Were there many, or?
About 20 so far.
Okay.
There's been some controversy over that. I don't know if any of the members of the committee have heard, but there has been some controversy. I worked very hard to publicize that this year. Among other things, first of all, there is online payment available throughout the summer. So should families get caught up in the travails of summer, they could have online paid all year. I had notices in the transcript every week from July 1st on through August 15th. Sent a letter to every single parent, as I said, in backpack notices, as well as several other things. So we did our best to publicize it, but human nature as it is, there's always going to be some folks who do forget. But we have been charging it, and as I said, it's just short of 20 at this point, and people are still coming in. And it puts some pressure on us in terms of the development of the bus routes. Prior to this fee, it was not unusual to have several hundred people come in the last week of school.
Right.
Which made it awfully difficult, because you'd like to roll out your bus routes in a smooth, comprehensive manner, but when you have hundreds of new additions, it makes that hard. So we were in the process, we had been in the midst of previous years of changing bus routes and stops much more frequently than we'd like to.
So the fine was actually effective then in getting people
Very much so.
to register on
good.
time.
Yes, it
Oh,
was.
good.
I also like to think that while we can look at it glass half full or glass half empty, I also like to think that those who came in early had a discounted price.
Oh,
Do you think that?
maybe just trying to ease your conscience.
Makes it sound better.
Have a charge for late fee.
But it has brought in, I looked at 2 or 3 other surrounding communities, and some communities have a cutoff of July 15th, July 1st. I mean, so we were at August 15th, which is
Why don't we present it that way next year? The discounted price,
The
if you get
discounted
it
price
by
and
such
the
and such
regular
a date,
price.
and the regular price if not. That's good.
How to
I like
spin it, yeah.
One more thing I wanted to add on the opening of school, there was a big story in the Globe's North section on Sunday regarding athletic fees, talking about a couple